darklings, lightlings, hybrids, and everyone in between. How are you today? I hope you're well. I am very excited to do this VR. Fae work is something I've had an interest in for a long time. I have loved fairy stuff since a kid, always believed in their existence, and over the years I've had a broader and different perspective on what the Fae are, how I view them, and that is kind of what this week is all about in Summer over at Astaria Sins collaboration with Rachele this month. It is the hashtag foundation or Fae Foundations. I hope I got it right. Summer's hosting us and leading us this month with the Fae work. I think I'm going to take this opportunity and I'm going to really give it my all this month, because though I have had some experiences, I believe in them. I've got, some Fae stuff, a little bit of knowledge. I kind of just accepted that they were always around me. Never really gave it much thought to really work with them. So I'm excited to do that this month. If you haven't watched Summer's video yet, the link will be in the description. So will the divination and spirituality group, Rachele's group, so that you can go over and keep yourself updated on all the information this month, all their work, and go grab your free digital journal. Yesterday I went to Dothan with a man, and we just wanted to kind of get out, window shop a little bit. But I was really excited and took it as a big sign that I found a really cool fairy book. It's got all kinds of rituals and spells and other cool information and ways you can work with the Fae. So I thought it was perfect for this month. I can't wait to get into that. Anyway, so as a kid, I had always believed in the Fae. I used to just naturally call like fireflies fairies. I've always called them that, or thought they were at least closely related to them. When you're staring at them when it's dusk out and just starting to get into the night, but not quite. So it's kind of that in between, and the fireflies come out. I just feel like, I don't know, they're related. You can't convince me otherwise. When I was younger, I used to love to collect the fairy statues, ornaments. I want to actually do that again. But for now, I'll settle with some decks and such. But going into my teenage years, I really had this obsession with fairies. And especially Amy Brown. I remember that was kind of the first art and stuff we had. I used to go to Hot Topic all the time to go get the hoodies or the wings, and they had journals with some of Amy Brown's art on them, and I collected and loved all of them. But anyway, the first question to this week's prompt was, how do you define the Fae, and what do you already believe about them? My belief now has changed big time from when I was younger, especially when I was living in Ireland and kind of looked into them even more deeper. I understood that Fae was a blanket term for a vast amount of different entities, different creatures. I mean, you have so many. I also got into a lot of the lore and other things I was open to, that they were fallen angels that refused to choose a side. I was open to, their elementals. Maybe they don't really have a form but can choose to shapeshift into a form. I was open to many different theories on these. But my ultimate theory now is that they are interdimensional beings. I've actually had a few experiences with them, I believe, in the astral realm. And I do believe that I ran into a specific group that I would identify, to try to understand or to make sense of it. I would identify them as elves or elven beings. But it was an inner earth society of these beings. And I was brought there a few times, and they were the stereotypical long, willowy, very tall, so pale they're almost translucent, what long white hair. They wore lockets with Saturn on them, or I think they were Saturn. And I ended up going down there after, let me back it up a bit. I had an experience in a dream again where I had seen Rachele in my dream, and we were kind of in this weird camp like place. And when I seen her, I understood that we couldn't let them know we knew each other. But anyway, the guards there brought me into a room, and this is when I was living in Ireland. They brought me into a room and showed me a painting of a woman who looked like the woman in the Inner Earth, only I hadn't met her yet. And she had this like lavish dress on, but she was laying in a painting down like this with that same locket, and it had mountains in the background of this giant painting. And it's like they were trying to force information out of me. But when I stared into this portrait, I heard a female's voice say, "You come from those who dwell within the mountains. You are activated." And it was like this golden light radiated from her locket towards me. Well, a few months after that was when I had the first Inner Earth experience with her. And they were a group. She said her name was Ka, but it was like they were all Ka because they operated like a collective, like one unit almost. And their city was chiseled out of the walls, and you knew it was very deep underground. They had rivers in there, but there were like crystals growing from the riverbeds. I've talked about this before with Rachele when we were sharing experiences, but I know I have a lot of new viewers on the channel, so you may not have heard. Anyway, I was fascinated and stunned, and this felt real. Like I was really there. I don't even think it was astral. I just think I was brought there, and I was supposed to remember it as a dream, but I think it was very real. And the city I thought was incredible. I was almost in a shock because it was this very intricate design carved into the stones of like these pillars and these certain designs and knots, like almost like Celtic or Norse knots, but they weren't, if that makes sense. It was like their own. And a lot of them operated, I could see these vibrations pulsing through them. There was a collective of them kind of meditating in the court in the middle of this little city. And I remember in that experience, she tried to get me to drink something, but I intuitively was like, no, no, thank you. You know, that was my first experience with them. And then my next one was the night before my mother had passed. They brought me back down there again. I don't remember a whole lot of details. I know there was more, but I can't find where I wrote it down. But anyway, I do know she gave me some sort of food, and when I bit into it, it turned into liquid in my mouth. And then her finger, she took it, and I remember the locket, the Saturn locket, kind of glowed. And she put it through my chest into my heart. It like, I could see the light from her finger. It was a golden light, kind of light up my chest. It made it almost see-through where you could see like my chest plate, my heart. And she just held it there. And that was mainly what I remember from that experience. And then the next day my mother had passed, and about a week after she had passed or so, I'd say, when I went to the hospital, they did say I had heartbreak syndrome. And I feel like this being knew what was going to happen and did something to help me, like, get through that. I truly believe that. And I do know that from the dream where they said I was activated, I come from those who dwell within the mountains. I think they're talking about these beings, whatever message came in that dream. There are a lot of lores and legends that the Fae, even in Dolores Cannon's work, some of the Fae or these beings could be your dead ancestors. And there may be some truth to that. However, I feel personally We have many, many different existences all at once because time doesn't really exist. So perhaps I have certain DNA, because I do believe a lot of us are hybridized from other beings. This is my personal belief after a lot of experiences and work, that I may have this Elven type DNA somewhere in my lineage, and that's the connection there. Or it's another existence of myself helping myself, knowing what was going to happen. I'm open to any of these theories. I've given it some deep, deep thought, and I'm open to a lot of them. I don't know which one it is for sure. I've also had many dreams where, and this one I do believe is an alternate existence happening right now, but a lot of them have Rachele in them. And I know in the dream and understand, and it feels so real. Like I swear it's really happening in the astral, and I'm seeing this existence in these dreams. A lot of it, I understand that I am there as a warrior to protect Rachele. She doesn't look the same. I don't look the same. But I know it's her, like, at a soul resonance, I guess, is the best way I could describe it. And I know that she carries some sort of title or knowledge that needs to be protected. And I am in this court. And in this court, at each corner, you could see an open portal to a realm, and they're each a different season, like the elements. Anyway, in several of these dreams I was in a large battle, a huge battle against other Fae-like beings. I know that the stakes are high, and I cannot lose this battle. I have an enchanted sword, and these other beings are, I don't want to say like they have darker hair, whereas we all seem to have lighter hair. Theirs was intricately woven. They have certain runes or beads in them. I could not see what I looked like. But I do know that whatever we were protecting or are protecting in that realm, it is serious. It's like some ancient knowledge, magic, or whatever. And that Rachele in this existence had something big to do with that. And my job was to protect that. I know it sounds like a crazy fantasy novel, but it's true. These are my experiences that really opened up my perspective on what the Fae are. So I believe, in short, that these are beings that exist simultaneously to us. They know how to walk between realms and worlds. They know how to be one with the elements. They know how to shapeshift. They know how to do a lot of these things. And I think that I'm open to two theories. One, they went in the earth to protect themselves from us. Maybe some of them or a group of them. And two, most of them probably exist in an overlapping dimension, and they have the ability to go between them. And that they are ultimately, because I believe that angels, demons, all of them, gods, are all ultimately interdimensional or extraterrestrial beings. And I believe ultimately that the Fae are as well interdimensional beings. They're keepers of magic, of knowledge, and that they ultimately are in the background making things move, happen, or keeping things stable for this realm. Some of them, because I feel like there are a vast different factions, different groups, different beings in form. Oh, and one time when I was in Ireland too, I did have an experience in my waking world where I was sitting by a river, and over there they still have like fedors in their forests. They have like trinkets hanging. They still heavily carry these superstitions. And when I'm in I called it the fairy forest. I do have some videos on that too, but I'm sitting by the river and I'm getting rocks thrown at me. And I'm hearing these giggles, and I saw this being, and it looked like it had like these sticks growing out of its head. It was so cool, and I instantly was like, you're Fae, you're a Fae creature. So I definitely believe, like the She, you have the Jinn, you have the Dullahan. You have so many. It's so vast. It's very hard to, like Summer said, categorize one or a few even. I'm very open to different like theories about that. Even now when I'm walking outside, I can sense them like a tree. I'll look at certain trees. I'm like, "Oh, you're a dryad. Hello, greetings." Or for me, it's almost like I pick it up more energetically than I do see them. If I see a lot of moss, a lot of, flowers, I see a lot of mushrooms, in an area, and I can feel them almost. I know I have them in my yard. And since my interest has peaked, I've seen a lot more signs start growing. I also believe that you have some factions in charge of the seasons and such, kind of like on Thumbelina. You have the different ones that are in charge of helping the earth transition into the seasons. I believe that the Fae actually help so many things that we overlook. I think they're these little beings that, or big beings, or just beings that are charged with different tasks on how our realm works. I'm ready to get into the spread, which this, Beyond Lumeria, that's another thing I feel like some Fae come from too. Like Lumeria, other places. I think that's a great depiction of some Fae-like beings. The ones in this deck. Again, interdimensional. So for this spread and this reading, I am going to use the Fairy Wisdom Oracle. I have not really gotten a chance to work with it much, and I think it's perfect. Perfect time. My She deck, it will only read for me. And I'm so used to working with that deck. I'm so connected to that deck, but I think I'd like to try to work with this when I got all my fairy or Fae related stuff with me, because I'm really trying to embrace, connect, and awaken all this more for me this month. So I'm really excited about what this month is going to bring and what summer is going to bring for us. But I don't really look at them either, though, as like these light beings. I think some of them operate more in a lighter aspect, but I definitely do think that they don't operate in duality as much. I feel like to them, they're like, they don't hold, like she even said, the same morals or like societal codes that we do. I think there is a lot of darker aspects to the Fae, even in a lot of the folklore. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid to work with them. Just like daemons, I think they have certain natures, but I don't think they're inherently evil. I think the ones that look like this are more your elementals and help like the seasons change and all of that, but I definitely don't think all the Fae are like that, and a lot of them are almost monstrous. Maybe a bit darker. Like I know the Dullahan, even vampires, like there is a lot in history's folklore that use the term Fae to describe them. I know in Ireland they said some vampires were. The Dullahan over there was a headless horseman that used a spine whip and was a harbinger of death. A lot of the Fae over there they describe have a lot to do with death and darkness. So I definitely don't think all Fae are like this. I think, for me, I call these ones like the fairies, your little sprites or pixies. I do think they're out there, but I think they're more like the little trickster pesky ones. And then I definitely think you have a lot more, they're dark. Not evil, but dark. That's how I perceive them. Dragons, too. I think they're Fae. I do. I think they're guardians. And I think they're Fae. How can working with the Fae benefit me? I'm interested to know. I got the winter card. Okay, so this keyword is rejuvenation. Winter is part of the transformation of life within the great cycle. The dormancy of nature and all that dwells on earth. You may feel like pulling into your ruby cave and being alone with yourself in spirit. It's time to observe your inner workings and to work with the great mysteries of life. Change is in the air, but before it can manifest, you must rest upon the activity of the spring. This is a time to gather your energies to you. This card is saying that you are almost ready for the next phase of life, but before you step into it, you must rest, hibernate in winter's cave, knowing you're safe and warm within the earth. Within the earth. You have come far on your journey. Let the Fae guide you to that place of rest. For your activity, you need a corresponding response. This will keep you in balance as you continue your path. So I intuitively feel like this card with rejuvenation is trying to say, maybe take this month of working with the Fae as a break. I've been working with a lot of energies, a lot of goddesses, a lot of the feminine, and maybe I do just need a small break. Of course, I'm not going to stop honoring Kali, and I'm not going to stop all the work, but perhaps I should just step back this month from like all the rituals, all of the deep, intense stuff. You know, everything I do is intense, everything. So maybe it's time to just take a little rest this month. You know, honor Kali, keep the altar and all, keep my offerings and stuff going, but maybe I will give like other things a little rest and kind of focus on the Fae. What fear of the Fae might I be holding on to? This should be interesting because like I said, I don't really fear them at all. I mean, that's just me. I'm not one that fears another being. If I believe I am powerful and I am, you know, that witch, it doesn't leave much room for fear, especially after working with some of the energies that I have worked with, you know. Not to stroke my own ego, but it's true. Oh, that is such a pretty card. I got Green Fairy. Oh, wow. It's very hard for me to place this card in this spread. I feel like I got it for a reason. And it really emphasizes on like healing. Healing others through experience or sitting in nature in a garden, which I have been doing. I have my fairy garden built and I have little doors and all the trees around my yard. I've noticed more mushrooms growing, more moss. I've noticed a lot more nature activity. It says ask the fairies to assist you in healing or the healing of others. Maybe it's also trying to show others why you shouldn't be afraid of things. I don't know. Honestly, when it comes to the question of what fear I might be holding on to with the Fae, I can't relate this to it. I think they're trying to give me a whole different type of message. They're kind of like, well, since you're not really afraid, maybe it's about helping others. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to really think about this for a bit and sit on it. But maybe the rest of the reading will help give clarity to this. All right, so how can I address, instead of fear, I'm going to ask, how can I address the healing card they gave me? How can I address the healing card? Thank you. Summer Dragon. How cool. The key word is sunny. All the joys of summer. Not here. It's hot as hell. You can't even breathe. You get boob sweat, all kinds of sweat. I don't like it. I don't like the summer here. But anyway, do as this dragon does. He is just carefree little guy who moves from flower to flower, absorbing the sweetness of life. Embrace the light and the warmth and the beauty of summer all around you. Summer represents the full bloom of life. You're entering a time when life has much to offer you. You can expect opportunity to open up in all different areas of your life. Wear your rose-colored glasses and see everything from a loving point of view. I feel like I just went through something where it was like taking those rose-colored glasses off and showing me reality, especially with what's happening in the sky, or what was happening, like with Saturn and Neptune and such. But now it's telling me to wear them, to embrace this, to maybe make it my own. It's time for excursions and adventure. So this, with that healing card, I think I don't think I have to do anything. I think through this work and maybe sharing some experiences and other stuff, I mean, maybe it'll help others and help me heal things that I'm not aware of yet. That would be really cool. But I definitely think that I've been feeling this energy a lot lately. Again, I think they're trying to tell me other things instead of what's the spread is saying, which happens to me sometimes in readings where I'm asking questions, but they're kind of throwing a different message at me. And that's because I guess I don't really need this one right now per se. They're kind of dictating that I need to hear this message. And I think that this is much needed, what this card means in my life. I very much should be embracing life and fun and joy. And I wanted to do that this summer. And I think yesterday was kind of the start of that. But I think I'm going to embrace that. And maybe see where the Fae shows up for me with all of this. I'm interested. What is the first foundation step I can take? All right. So for this question, I got the Chakra Fairy. And the book says, the keyword's alignment. Chakras are whirling spheres of energy that hold our astral and etheric bodies within our physical bodies. They channel the energy we receive from the universe and put it into form. However, if they become bogged down or spin in the wrong vibration, issues can arise. Problems include ill health, low energy, depression, mental and emotional conditions. It is a good idea to do a chakra exercise daily. I know what the fear is now. It all makes sense. Okay. It all makes sense to me now, guys. Wow, amazing how that happens, right? Sometimes I feel like I can dive into so much intense work that I create imbalances within myself, and I take on so much around me that it can make me ill. It makes me depressed, anxious, sad. It becomes a burden. And I think this reading is telling me that maybe somewhere inside me, I fear that if I take on work with the Fae right now too, it might bog me down, or make things worse. But with that healing card, and then the embracing the joy and the summer's joy, and now this alignment card, I think this is alluding to the fact that I'm going to be working with the Fae for alignment. And if I truly do carry some sort of Elven DNA, maybe this connection, and through the chakras connected to them, you know, I look at the chakras like a bridge too, the Rainbow Bridge by Frost. Like in Norse mythology, the gods use it as a bridge to go between realms. You get it. And I feel like we can use them to connect. I mean, you can use the chakras for many, many things. I feel like they're saying to me that there's work that could be done with them for not only healing but alignment, getting me in tune with my spiritual work, my body, and myself. Wow, that's really cool. So this is saying how the Fae can actually help align you with your chakras and such, and it's got a little chant and meditation for it. That is perfect. I think I'm going to do that tonight. What aspect of the Fae do I need to understand right now? Wow. I love how, like, sometimes in readings, I completely don't get it. And then, like, more cards will come. And then it's suddenly the veil's lifted. More clarity. And I'm like, oh, I know. So it isn't a fear of, like, the Fae or working with the Fae. It's a fear of maybe taking on too much. I get it. Look at that. Wishing you health. Yeah, so I think there's definitely something going on health-wise. I've been sick. I haven't been doing very well lately. And maybe it is from taking a lot on. I mean, not only in my work, but I'm a very, very sensitive, strong empath. And it's like if someone close to me or I love you, like if you have an issue, it's mine and I feel it. I feel it so strong. I take everything around me and absorb it. And I know that ain't very healthy. I need to look for ways to cope with that. But the aspect of the Fae that I need to understand right now, I'm like about to cry right now because this resonates so deeply. So this card, if you draw it, the book says it's about wholeness. And lately I've been contemplating a lot about wholeness, making myself complete. Even in my tag, I had mentioned that. But that's been some work I'm trying to do right now. And I think that the aspect of the Fae that I need to see is perhaps working with them can bring me a lot of benefits that I didn't think they could. I mean, look at what the one being did the night before my mom passed. She helped my heart so I could get through it. I think they're saying, hey, we could help you. We could be guides right now for you. We can help you get there. Like, give us a chance. I never really did kind of consider that, working with the Fae. So I think they're trying to give me a different perspective on the benefits that they could have for me. I think that is excellent and wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Summer. This was excellent, great spread, and I loved your information in your video. And Rachele, thank you. I love you all, and I'll see you soon.